Forget the grand halls you see in films. The real Viking world was not a place of endless feasts and roaring fires. Instead, it was a land where survival was a daily struggle and every day brought new challenges. The real Viking world was a harsher, colder place. The landscape was unforgiving, shaped by the relentless forces of nature. Imagine a land carved by ancient ice, with towering mountains and deep, dark fjords. These valleys, formed over thousands of years, were both beautiful and treacherous, filled with icy waters and steep cliffs that could spell disaster for the unwary. Vast forests of pine and birch stretched for miles, a silent wilderness. In winter, the trees stood like sentinels, their branches heavy with snow, muffling every sound except the crunch of footsteps or the distant howl of a wolf. This was the Nordic world, breathtaking yet dangerous. The beauty of the landscape hid countless threats, from sudden storms to hidden crevasses beneath the snow. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every storm could bring lethal cold. Wolves and bears roamed the forests, and the weather could turn deadly in an instant. Winters were long and brutally cold, with snow burying the landscape. Villages could be cut off for weeks, and the sun barely rose above the horizon, casting the world in twilight. Surviving here was a constant battle, demanding resilience and knowledge. Every step outside was a test of skill, and only the prepared could hope to endure. Vikings were not just warriors, they were masters of this unforgiving land. They learned to adapt, to read the signs of nature, and to work together to overcome the odds. A wrong turn in a blizzard could mean being lost forever. The snow could erase all traces of a path, and the cold would sap your strength in minutes. Food was scarce, and finding it required skill and effort. Hunting, fishing, and foraging were daily necessities, and every meal was hard-won. Even the smallest mistake, like letting your fire go out, could be fatal. Fire was life, and without it, the cold would quickly claim you. Vikings had no modern equipment, only what they could make. Every tool was crafted by hand, and every item was precious. Their tools were iron axes, knives, and their own sharp wits. Ingenuity and resourcefulness were as important as strength. They learned to read the weather, understand animal habits, and find shelter. Every lesson was paid for in hardship, and only the wise survived. This was the true Viking saga, survival against all odds, where every day was a test of courage, endurance, and the will to live in a land of shadow and ice. Vikings were not a people who stayed still. Restlessness was woven into their very identity, driving them to seek out new horizons and opportunities wherever they could be found. They were traders, explorers, raiders, and settlers, constantly on the move. Their journeys took them from the icy fjords of Scandinavia to the distant shores of Europe, Asia, and even North America, always searching for new lands and riches. This meant spending much time away from permanent homes. For months, sometimes even years, they would live as wanderers, adapting to whatever the land provided. They travelled across treacherous seas in longships and marched across unknown lands. Every journey was a test of endurance, courage, and resourcefulness. On these journeys, they were nomads, living in the open. Nights were spent under the stars, huddled around campfires, exposed to the elements and the dangers of the wild. Their survival depended on creating shelter and finding safety. They built temporary camps, using whatever materials they could gather, always alert to threats from both nature and rival groups. They saw the wilderness as a provider, offering materials for shelter and food. Every forest, river, and mountain became a resource to be used wisely. Vikings were masters of improvisation, building camps with an axe and nature. Their skills in woodworking, hunting, and foraging were essential for survival far from home. The romantic image of Vikings feasting in halls is just a snapshot. Most of their lives were spent in the wild, not in the comfort of great halls, but in the raw embrace of nature. The complete picture is of adaptable survivors thriving in harsh conditions. They endured freezing winters, relentless storms, and the constant uncertainty of the unknown. Their ability to navigate and find shelter allowed them to travel far and wide. Using the stars, sunstones, and their deep knowledge of the land, they charted courses few dared to follow. They were not just warriors, they were ultimate survival experts. Hunting, fishing, and gathering were as vital as swordplay, and every member of the group played a role in their survival. At home in the wild, they thrived where others would falter. The true legacy of the Vikings is not just in their conquests, but in their ability to endure, adapt, and flourish in the most challenging environments on Earth. Choosing a campsite was crucial for survival. For the Vikings, the decision of where to rest was never taken lightly. Every night in the wild brought new challenges, and the right location could mean the difference between comfort and hardship, or even life and death. Vikings read the landscape for clues to safety and shelter. They would scan the horizon, searching for signs of danger or opportunity, always alert to the subtle hints nature provided. They sought protection from wind and rain using natural features. Large boulders, cliffs, and overhangs could shield them from harsh weather, making the difference between a miserable night and a restful one. Trees were their allies, acting as windbreaks and offering rain protection. Dense forests not only blocked the wind, but also provided cover from prying eyes and predators. They avoided valleys where cold air settled, knowing that low ground could become dangerously cold at night, sapping their strength and making sleep difficult. Instead, they sought high, dry ground. Elevated spots stayed warmer and drier, reducing the risk of dampness and cold that could lead to illness. Caves and rock overhangs were prized for complete protection. These natural shelters offered a safe haven from storms and wild animals, and could be easily defended if needed. A good cave offered a defensible position and warmth. The thick stone walls trapped heat from their fires, creating a cozy refuge even in the harshest weather. But before settling in, Vikings checked caves for predators. Bears, wolves, or other animals might already call these places home, so caution was always necessary. Their skill was a deep understanding of the natural world. They could read the signs in the soil, the moss, and the wind, using every sense to judge if a place was safe. They calculated every decision to wake up warm and safe. Every choice, from the direction of the wind to the type of ground beneath them, was made with survival in mind. Intelligent site selection was crucial for surviving a night in the wild. A well-chosen camp could mean a peaceful night's rest, while a poor choice could bring danger or discomfort. This knowledge was passed down through generations. Elders taught the young how to read the land, ensuring that these vital skills would never be forgotten. It was a testament to their survival instincts and adaptability. The Vikings' ability to thrive in the wild was not just luck, it was the result of careful observation, experience, and a deep respect for the land they called home. Vikings were masters of creating temporary shelters. They built lean-to shelters using fallen logs or branches. Turf blocks were used to insulate and waterproof the structure. Moss filled gaps, creating an airtight, warm shelter. On the floor, they laid dry leaves or moss for insulation. Animal hides or sails from longships provided additional protection. These materials allowed Vikings to build shelters almost anywhere. Their resourcefulness was key to survival in harsh conditions. They adapted to their environment, using what nature provided. This ingenuity was a hallmark of their survival skills. It allowed them to thrive in the wild, no matter the challenges. Wool was the Vikings' secret weapon against the cold. Even damp, it kept them warm, thanks to natural oils. They wore wool in layers, a principle still used today. Linen tunics were worn close to the skin for comfort. Woolen tunics trapped warm air, creating insulation. Heavy cloaks or fur-lined jackets protected against the elements. Woolen trousers, leg wraps, and leather shoes completed their attire. Every piece of clothing was designed for survival. This system allowed them to function in harsh conditions. Communal warmth was a simple yet effective survival technique. Vikings huddled together, sharing body heat to survive cold nights. A small shelter packed with people became a warm furnace. They rotated positions to share the warmest spots. This strategy reduced the risk of hypothermia. It was a calculated survival tactic, not just for comfort. Animals were sometimes included for extra warmth. This practical approach to survival was rooted in community. It showcased their no-nonsense attitude towards enduring the cold. A fire was the heart of any Viking camp. It provided warmth, cooked food, and kept predators away. Vikings carried a fire-starting kit with steel, flint, and tinder. They built efficient fires like the long log fire for controlled heat. Hot stones absorbed heat and were used as ancient hot water bottles. These stones released warmth throughout the night. This method was safer than keeping a fire burning inside. It extended the warmth of the fire through the coldest hours. Vikings used simple physics to solve survival challenges. Their firecraft was a testament to their ingenuity. It allowed them to make the wilderness their home. Every aspect of their survival was carefully thought out. Viking survival skills are timeless lessons. They remind us that knowledge is the most powerful tool. Their ability to read the landscape and use resources is invaluable. Modern outdoor enthusiasts can learn from their methods. Layering clothing and using natural materials are key principles. Building shelters with available resources is a vital skill. The Viking lean-to is a classic survival shelter. Their use of hot stones is a brilliant technique for warmth. These skills teach resilience and adaptability. Vikings thrived by being smart and respecting nature. Their spirit inspires us to face challenges with confidence.